I'll start with some Western press headlines you won't like very much. Fox News: there is no Ukrainian offensive, but a Russian offensive is about to begin. Times: Britain will run out of weapons for Ukraine by the end of the year. CNN: the Biden administration is not ready to increase weapons deliveries to Ukraine. Evening Standard: Kyiv will not be able to recover from the failed counteroffensive on Kherson. The Washington Post: there are no signs of a Ukrainian offensive on the Kherson front. The Economist: chill out in Kherson. Why the Ukrainian army should not rush to recapture the entire province. How's that for eye-cutting headlines, don't you think? And you know what's most interesting? These are just a small selection of some of the headlines in the Western press for August to September 2022. And afterwards, the Ukrainian Defense Forces successfully conducted the Kharkiv and Kherson operations. Well, you know the details yourself. So what is this? Degradation of journalism and elementary analytical thought in the media, the pursuit of hype or paid placement of materials that play into the hands of Russia. What is this done for? The other day in the internet hit the news, which is difficult to call no other than an element of a psychological operation, and everyone picked up this next portion of demoralizing information. The armed forces of Ukraine only in the battles for the village of Staromayorsk lost 31 units of military equipment, including 23 armored personnel carriers with mine protection, transferred by NATO countries. This was reported by the German newspaper Bild. It would seem that what is wrong here? I will surprise you, but everything here is true, but there is a nuance. The battle for Staromayorsk lasted 39 days. And 23 MRAP vehicles were lost, that is armored vehicles which were created for this purpose. Their main task is to deliver the crew and paratroopers to the control point, protecting them from mines and ambushes in dangerous combat conditions. And they have fulfilled their main task. In the battles in Iraq and Syria, the Americans, actually the authors of this class of light armored vehicles, in some episodes lost 30 vehicles, and in Afghanistan, in one episode lost 10 vehicles at once without any serious resistance. To disable such armored vehicles it is enough to hit the transmission or wheel sets. But respected journalists are not interested in Russia's losses, or at least they are not as interested in them as the losses of the Ukrainian side. Meanwhile in the Tokmak direction, the enemy has obviously realized that in the general context of the Ukrainian offensive the situation is important not only in Robotyno itself, where it controls only the southern part, and according to rumors it is no longer in control, but also what is happening east and west of the village. This is especially true for the eastern flank of this area, where the advanced units of the AFU have already reached the first positions of the enemy's main line of defense at a frontal width of almost 4.5 kilometers. Now the Russian command is feverishly searching for reserves for the entire southern operational zone. Because it started to crack not only on Berdyansk direction, but also on Tokmak, it started to crack on Pologi direction and under Volhyda. They urgently need reserves. And not just a couple of volunteer battalions or a random set of mobilized, but something substantial, preferably personnel. And necessarily the minimum, a regiment or brigade, and preferably, a division. Everything else will not help. The question for the enemy command is another: where to find them and where to get them from. In general, the enemy is very uneasy now in the southern direction.